Connect on social media. Connect on Facebook and Twitter. Connect with iPower One Nation. Stay connected with iPower One.
From the Hard Planet Media Studios in New York, this is iPower 2 This Moment.
Medics rushed the unconscious 5-year-old girl right here to Brookdale Hospital last night around 8 p.m. Shortly thereafter, doctors pronounced her dead. Now, the city's Department of Health is looking into the child's death as possibly flu-related. Neighbors tell us the family complained of the child having a fever. They say her mother, after seeing her daughter unconscious, began screaming, knocking on doors, and yelling for help. That's when one neighbor rushed in to give the child CPR, while another called 911.
The lady opened her door and she started screaming, saying that her daughter wasn't breathing. So I came and called 911.
Even though we kept trying to, hold her nose, blow into her mouth to resuscitate her. Hearing the mother in the background, the neighbors yelling, screaming, it was just a traumatic situation that just happened.
If the medical examiner confirms this child did in fact die from the flu, she will be the 4th child to die from the flu in New York City this season. 1 out of every 13 visits to the doctor last week was for flu-like illnesses. This season is now as bad as the swine flu epidemic back in 2009. Back out here, it is unclear if this 5-year-old girl did get a flu shot, but with almost 2 months left in the flu season, doctors are still urging everyone to get one. For now, it's the very latest here in Brooklyn tonight. Wale Aliyu, News 4, New York.
New information tonight on a subway attack in Manhattan. According to police, a 29-year-old homeless man was on a northbound A train around 9:30 last night when he was attacked by a group of about 24 people. The train was entering the 59th Street Columbus Circle station. A 16-year-old male and 16-year-old female were both arrested and both face assault charges tonight. The victim, who police say was panhandling at the time, suffered minor injuries.
He has some very serious injuries here. The most severe being a fracture in his spine near his neck. We're also learning tonight that the inmate who punched the officer made a phone call threatening that he was going to punch an officer, and then he followed through with that threat. In the blink of an eye, an ambush. Surveillance video shows the moment an inmate sucker punches a correction officer, knocking him down. The brutal attack continues. Other inmates jumping in, kicking the officer while he's on the ground. Another officer rushes in, pulls out what appears to be pepper spray, finally stopping the assault. The officer, John Roston Souffrant, now fighting for his life in the hospital.
I'm still in shock.
Souffrant's cousin fighting back tears, saying he just learned the inmates who committed the attack threatened to do so.
He was afraid for his life, which, I would be too. But he had to go to work, so he went to work, and he was not aware of the threat.
And something has to be done before a correction officer loses his or her life.
At a press conference, the president of the Correction Officers Benevolent Association says officers don't have enough protection against violent inmates, even when there's a threat.
The mayor of the city of New York is responsible for what happened to this correction officer.
Stephen Espinal is accused of throwing the first punch. He's doing time for attempted murder. 5 other inmates, all under the age of 21, jumped in, according to the Department of Corrections, all believed to be associated with the same gang.
And I feel like if nothing is done, officers will end up, dying over this. I mean, I don't know what they're waiting for.
A spokesperson for the mayor tweeted that Mayor de Blasio spoke to the officer in the hospital today. The Department of Corrections tells us that the men responsible will be held accountable, though they don't specify exactly how. We should also mention that the facility where this happened is set to close this summer, part of Riker's 10-year plan to shut down. We're live tonight in Flushing, Queens. Rana Novini, News 4, New York.
The worker last night who was on shift, he was thankfully doing okay after all of this. He was not hurt. He tells me the suspect came into the store, put a knife on the counter, and demanded money. Now, this all happened around 6:30. The worker says the man ran away with around $200 from the register. He's still out there. Here's a look at him now. Police say he's white with long brown hair and has cuts on his hands. He's around 6 feet tall and in his 20s or 30s. He was last seen wearing this gray hooded sweatshirt. Now, keep in mind, this is a fairly busy intersection in town. It's right across from a CVS, so police, they are hoping someone may have witnessed this incident or can help them identify the suspect. If you have any information, you're asked to call them. We, of course, have their number for you on our website, just at news12.com. In Fairfield, Lauren Fabrizi, News 12 Connecticut.
At the Greater Mount Carmel Pentecostal Church, music means everything. The congregation may not be huge. Sound is pure joy. Last week, burglars nearly silenced the songs when they ransacked the place, taking electronics, including every bit of musical gear not tied down.
We just want to show the community and the devil that tried to steal from us that we are a tenacious people.
But along with the tears, now there's hope.
The mic I have this morning is borrowed.
Angels offered to loan equipment, and during Sunday service, this valuable keyboard arrived.
We're thankful for the support. We just continue to believe God for everything.
Members are also raising money to lock down the future.
While the pastor has faith, he's also realistic. A big part of the plan for recovery is improving security.
We know we live in a fallen world. We know that evil is rampant in these days. So we'll do everything we can.
That starts with showing this church's spirit can't be stolen. In Bridgeport, Suzanne Goldklang, News 12 Connecticut.
In an exclusive News 12 interview, the family members of 26-year-old Thierno Omar Berry share with us a little bit about his life as they continue to grieve his sudden death. Police say Berry was walking on Montgomery Street by Bedford Avenue, just a stone's throw away from where he lived, when he was shot multiple times in the face and torso around 3 o'clock Friday morning. His family in shock, describing the brother, son, and father as hardworking. In fact, they say he had likely wrapped up his taxi driver shift when he was gunned down.
He would want him to be remembered as a kind, loving young man who helped them. He is helping him a lot because he has siblings here and he has siblings back home in Africa.
Police tell us no arrests have been made, and they are working to determine who would have done this to the 26-year-old and what the motive would have been. Tori Singer, News 12, Brooklyn.
Off the court and into the halls of Barclays Center. These Brooklyn Nets getting these kids excited about the lesson they're all about to have.
It's just another opportunity to sharpen up on the facts that, stuff that I never even knew about, and it's a lot of history in the Barclays Center alone.
That history hanging on these walls. The Black Fives portraits showcase the African American pioneers that paved the way for basketball to become the sport it is today.
Back in the day, some really great things happened that's part of our community we can be proud of.
During Black History Month, this tour with Nets players D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jared Allen aims to teach these children from the Salvation Army about the historic figures and moments in these photos from the early 1900s, before the game was integrated.
The very first game between two African-American basketball teams took place.
And all the Brooklyn connections captured in these pictures.
It brings it closer to home. It makes it, I think, a little more realistic, a little more palpable for them.
How African Americans really fought hard to play basketball.
An eye-opening experience for not just the kids, but the pros as well.
It's big, and it just shows you how much things are out there that are bigger than basketball.
We need to know what's happened in the past so we can know how to deal with the stuff that goes on in the future.
Learning from basketball legends in a way that goes beyond the game. At Barclays Center, Amanda Bossard, News 12.
BAM hooked up with the Black Comics Collective for the first time to bring writers and artists together to celebrate comics of color. Many who came out to this event say they've been waiting for a Black Comics Expo like this one in Brooklyn. Families say it's wonderful to see comic books and posters featuring heroes and sheroes of color. The Black Comics Collective says the comic writers they chose for the event are mostly from New York, and many stories feature superheroes of color who live in urban environments just like Brooklyn.
We wrote Nia's Sixth Sense together. It's a book about a young modern-day superhero named Nia Pele, young black girl from Brooklyn, New York, and she's amazing. She just started her high school year, and she's learning about life.
The greatest empowerment that you can have is when your story is told as a community. You know, there's an expressive voice that we have, and it needs to come out.
Now, BAM will also host Black superhero films through the 17th. Reporting from Fort Greene, Nicole Ryan, News 12, Brooklyn.
New York's Attorney General has filed a civil rights lawsuit against the Weinstein Company for failing to protect its employees from sexual harassment, intimidation, and discrimination. Now, Maria Contreras-Sweet, who is expected to buy the company for $500 million, is pulling the offer, according to the New York Post. She has promised to appoint a majority female board of directors and create a settlement fund for the victims. Facebook is losing young users to Snapchat at a faster rate than previously thought. According to new research from eMarketer, it found Facebook will lose 2 million users under the age of 25 this year, while Snapchat will add about 1.9 million. And the most magical place on earth is getting more expensive. Disneyland and Disney World raised prices over the weekend by as much as 18% for annual pass holders. Daily tickets rose as much as $11. It comes as Disneyland is building a $1 billion, 14-acre expansion called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And that's your Cheddar Business and Tech Update. I'm Jill Wagner from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
The hearing is being held by a new committee designed to deal exclusively with any vehicles for rental, hire, or leasing, as many drivers say they're worried about making a living under the supervision of the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission. The mounting tensions between drivers and the TLC resulting in violence recently as some lashed out at two Taxi and Limousine Commission officers, shattering their window with a metal bat. Some saying the act of violence comes out of frustration with violations drivers say are excessive. Livery drivers saying they're being unfairly targeted by TLC officers. Many disgruntled drivers coming together since then to say they have no affiliation to those who damaged a TLC agent's vehicle, but instead they want their voices to be heard. They say they're stopped more than drivers of other cars for violations like not displaying a TLC license, answering a call while driving, or even having tinted windows. Drivers say they're also losing profits to ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft, and the added fines from the city and the TLC are making it harder for them to make a living. A spokesperson for the TLC told News 12 the agency is committed to listening to drivers' concerns. The meeting is set to begin at 10 o'clock this morning in the City Hall chamber. The conversation will be focused around enforcement, entrapment, and the fines these drivers are getting.
meteorologist Mike Rizzo with your traffic and weather forecast update as we take a look at current conditions. We're going to be expecting to see those temperatures continue to drop throughout today. We're rather stagnant now, mainly in the lower 40s here, but once we head into this evening, unfortunately, it's not going to be feeling too good because the cold is going to return. We had a nice and mild weekend, unfortunately a very rainy weekend as well. But now as we head into the afternoon, we're going to see some sunshine and clouds decrease. The first of two fronts have been passing by this morning, and that first front has been ushering in that gusty wind and a few sprinkles this late morning. Sunshine definitely comes out for the afternoon and carries us over into the early evening, and then it's clear overnight tonight. Today, expect falling temperatures, breezy conditions, and a partly sunny sky. Northwest wind at 10 to 15 with afternoon temperatures near 44 degrees. Can't really complain too much about today, but it turns cold tonight with lows near 24 to 25 degrees. It's cold for sure, and that cold lasts through one more day, but I think we're going to have an overall mild week ahead. Temperatures across the Northeast show you that swath of blue that's painted across the screen here, and that's that cold air, and then the shading of pink, which is the even colder air that's going to be working its way into the city for the overnight tonight. Clouds and radar shows whatever's left of the fronts now producing rain showers that are moving off to the east of the city, and we're not going to see much as a result from it today. Increasing sunshine, decreasing clouds, and cold weather settles in overnight into tomorrow. And by Wednesday, we'll see a few clouds, but really not a big deal. Temperatures rebounding back into the 40s on Wednesday, near 49. 58 on Thursday with early morning showers, giving way to a mostly cloudy sky. And unsettled weather for Friday brings in periods of rain with highs near 50. The sun returns for Saturday.
Get connected on our social media at iPower One Nation for radio and TV news and updates. Stay connected with iPower One. Expect more from CBS 2 News, weeknights at 11. Expect more.